a true Dominican, I really think we could make it. But as a people, we have to learn to commit. The journey ahead will never be smooth and sweet. But as an ambitious nation, we have to be upbeat. I know we have done it before, so we can do it again. All the pain we endured, but pride we have to maintain in order to create a better world. Every living soul has to play their role. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make Dominica strong. Opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make Dominica strong. We got to stamp out the devil, stamp them out, evil, jealousy, not by me, certainly. We got to stamp out greediness, stamp them out, wickedness, jealousy, not by me, certainly. Tomorrow is the first day of our life. Let's make tomorrow the first day of the rest of our life. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make our country strong. Wow. Change. Wow. Wow. Remember the love and unity that we once shared. The children would be prepared. Food was a daily part of our living. This society would be part of our children upbringing. We used to eat everything we grow and grow everything we eat. But smiling faces would glow and the people were real discreet. We need to go back to where we were. Otherwise we'll witness things we never seen before. Opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make Dominica strong. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make Dominica strong. We got to stamp out the ugly, stamp them out, stamp out cruelty, jealousy, not by we, certainly. We got to fight hypocrisy, all conspiracy, jealousy, not by we, certainly. Tomorrow is the first day of the rest of our life. Let's make tomorrow the first day of the rest of our life. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make our country strong. Oh, change. Oh. Grandma used to say that laziness is a real crime. It captivates your body, then retards your mind. As people, we have to change this old attitude and give our country all the love we really should. Instead, we sit and we criticize, where we say let's now analyze and give young people no scope in difficult times just how to cope. It's got to build them the foundation in order to build a stronger, vibrant nation. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity.
Yes, folks, an opportunity to change things around indeed. Let me thank Joy Stout for singing this number. We always try to use this number from Joy Stout as we always open our program each and every Sunday from just about this time, 6 o'clock. It's called Opportunity to Change. Thank you, Ms. Stout, for doing this one. She did this one at some Calypso competition in Dominica. I can remember the year, 2 years back, 3 years back about there. Very, very, very interesting number from this young lady. So I want to thank her, indeed, giving her the kudos for reusing her material, as it were, to sort of give the program the oomph that it needs to get it going. Today being the 26th day of January 2025, basically we are saying already goodbye to January in the year 2025. And so that is where I want to shout out big shout out to those of you in Dominica, wherever you are in Dominica at this time, whether you're in the north, south, east, west, center, wherever you're at your home chilling, not some cover somewhere. It is the weather is sort of, that kind of weather. And so I want to appreciate and thank you for tuning into Civic Vibes this evening at this time. Those of you in the region from just about Jamaica, Cuba in the north, Trinidad in the south, and those in the center, I want to thank you as well for tuning in. We know once we are on social media, then the globe is locked in. Those of you further afield, thank you very much as well for your eyes and ears each and every time. The program is called Civic Vibes. That is a program that is aired each and every Sunday from 6 o'clock. We talk about everything about our country, Dominica, and of course, human interest stories and anything we think that is worth reporting on or bringing you the necessary information. This evening, we have a very packed program for you. The first segment, no stranger to Civic Vibes. She has been there already for a number of times, none other than Trudy Christian. She's in the house. She's the officer in charge at the Dominica State College. And one thing that is she's very passionate about is having young people sort of interact among themselves. And so this evening, Trudy is going to tell us, much more about the debate competition among our secondary school students on island here. So we wait in anticipation for every word that will be coming from Trudy Christian's mouth this evening in terms of much more of that debating competition among our young people in Dominica. Yes, that is the first segment. Your questions, comments, live, whatever you want to punch on the live feed in terms of, whatever you need to know from that segment. Miss Christian is here, and yes, she will answer you to the best of ability, indeed. The second segment from 7 o'clock, Mr. Alex Powell Bruno, he'll be joining us, and we'll be talking about, the 47th president of America, that is Mr. Donald John Trump. We'll be having a conversation with Mr. Alex Bruno re some of the implications for us as a region and Dominica in particular. So stay tuned for that conversation as well, where Mr. Alex Bruno, a political scientist, a professor at that, will be coming to, share his thoughts, share his perspective on the re-election, as it were, of Mr. Donald Trump, he being the 47th president of the United States of America. Folks, thank you very much. Make yourself feel very, very comfortable at this time as we're about to dive into that conversation with Ms. Trudy Christian re, as I said before, something that is taking place among secondary schools in Dominica where the students are concerned. Without saying much more, let me just move across now and say a hi and hello to Miss Trudy Christian. Good evening to you. Always a pleasure to have you on board with us.
Good evening, Lofty. Good evening to the viewers of Civic Vibes. As you said, I'm no stranger to Civic Vibes. So it's good to be back, is what I would say, on this program. And, always a lovely time to engage. And I am just happy to be back on the program and to talk about what I am passionate about. So, it's a nice time for me tonight.
Yes, that is right down your alley. That is right down your
Yes.
alley. Yes, indeed. Folks, let me just apologize for Brother Alvin Thomas. He sent me a message earlier saying that he'll be a little late. He's having some connection issues. And so, Alvin, please try to make haste to be here because your people as well, they're missing you as well. All right? So just an apology on Alvin's behalf. He's not here with us at this time, but he promised to join us pretty soon. So yes, well, I'm not going to sit Trudy, right, Miss Christian?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. Very, very much for the rest of the conversation at that. Just a casual Sunday afternoon conversation. Trudy, I must tell you, anytime I hear about, debates in Dominica, young people, you come to mind. And as I said before, you basically, agreed that is something you're very, very passionate about. And first of the bat, I just want to thank you because our country is at where we at today, Trudy, in terms of we are not seeing that zest among our adults for that kind of spirit as it relates to having, debating or debate competition among us as a people. especially in the political arena. We choose people to represent us in some way, shape, or form at the highest level at that. And that is something that has been, sort of eluding us for some time in Dominica. And so just thinking about you coming on this evening, I say I must thank Trudy and the crew for sort of inculcating that kind of spirit among our young people. So the seeds that you're planting today, Trudy, we hope that they will germinate into, sort of big trees, as it were, so that when these young people grow older, then they will be much more, akin to having those debates and so be much more productive men and women of society. So again, I want to thank you for that initiative and helping our young people along the way.
Yes, lovely. And that is my goal. I came up through a school system where debating was the norm. The Kiwanis Club at the time did the secondary schools debate. And that was a big part of my formation, my formative years, in high school. I was a debater. I took part in the competition. And I think it really broadened my ability to be critical in thinking, my ability to have public speaking as a little notch on my belt that I can, something that I'm not afraid to do. So that debating competition when I was in high school gave me so much. And I'm here and I'm like, the young people are not getting a similar opportunity currently. So I felt that there was a void, and I wanted to bring back competitive debating to the young people. I see more and more people are unable to express themselves in a, civilized way, in a respectful way, express themselves publicly, not able to differ on matters in any sort of organized fashion. So that is what debating gives you, debating and learning that skill makes you able to speak publicly, to have differences and not fight, have differences, but express those differences in an eloquent and respectful manner. There is great discipline in being able to debate and oppose someone's views without getting crass and without getting, insultive. That is the type of discipline that, debating gives to you when you practice and you hone that skill. So I really wanted the young people to be part and parcel of this experience that I felt was so instrumental for me growing up. I said, let me reintroduce this competition. So in 2022, I think I was at a stage professionally where I had a little more time. And I said, now is a good time to, put that passion of mine and start a competition. So the intersecondary schools debating competition kicked off in 2023. Last year, 2024 was the second year. And this year, 2025 is the third installment. I don't have as much time as when I decided to start this thing in 2022. I was in a particular position at that time. Now I'm in another position professionally. So it's very taxing to organize, but I still have the passion to do it. And I'm still going to run through with 2025's installment of the competition. And my hope is just that, more and more people come on board and make the load a little lighter. But we're on track for a 2025 competition, I would say.
Yeah, talking about making your work a little lighter. Are there any other people with you that you'd want to, give a shout out at this time?
My mother is my main, supporter in this endeavor. When I brought the idea, I said, mommy, you have to be the one to support me in this debate competition. So she does that, and that's Alicia Jajak, of course. Love to, that's your previous principal and your mentor, you said. Use it with mentor.
Previous principal, previous French teacher. And
Right.
yes, my mentor, indeed. Yes.
Right. So my mother is behind me in this endeavor. And I also have some people at the Dominica State College, which is of course my workplace, who assist me as well. Daisy Rodney Williams assists me as well. So I have my current secretary Shania assisting, Miss Warrington assisting as well. So I have some people at work who lend a hand. I also have quite a few students in my literary and debating society at the Dominica State College who also are given tasks to execute for this debate competition to come forward, to come forth. And quite a few friends that I just pull in randomly, like Deondira Smith. I will run topics by her. And I have friends that I just pull in here and there to assist the competition. And my sponsors, obviously, I have some sponsors that started with me in initial competition in 23 and they, on board. The economy is tight. So I can see in terms of the sponsorship, I can see, certain companies are not able to do as much as they had done in the past, but I still have some people, some companies, some institutions who are, all behind this. Dr. Kimon Joseph at the UE Global Campus as well, always very open to assist, give UE as the venue for a lot of the debates. And that is a big help as well. So I want to mention her. And I have a team of judges who I pull from for these competitions, quite a few judges, people who are there from the Kiwanis days in the 90s, and they used to do that judging task before, and new people. I have some young lawyers, for instance, who are on my judging team. So I do have quite a bit of people who assist. But as I said, the more hands, the lighter the load. And so I'm always open to, people coming forward and saying, look, let's play a role in this competition. I'm always open to that.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very, very much indeed. You said, I took note, you said that this competition took flight, as it were, from 2023. Any challenges back then to get it off the ground?
Well, yes. So since debating had not been a thing for quite a few years, quite a number of years, it was challenging to sort of reintroduce the concept to some schools. Some schools, there was no one there to really assist the students because they had not had debating competitions. They had not had debates. So there was a little reluctance from some schools to participate. They felt that they did not have the supportive structure within their school to enable them to take part. As challenges as well, just in terms of general logistics and getting everything together. Of course, the schools in Dominica, there are a total of 14 high schools, and the schools are not all based in the same area. So getting people from the different schools from one location to the other, the transportation, the logistics of that, and also trying to make the competition as decentralized as possible. It's not a Roso competition. You know what I mean? So the logistics, there were a few challenges there, but I think by and large we overcame those, and the first year was successful. I believe last year, 2024, was more successful than the first year, and I hope that 2025 we can even increase in what we're able to do. And interestingly, Lofty, I mentioned that we have schools from all over, and it was a little challenging at first to get people on board this year. And I keep mentioning that when I speak publicly about the competition. I have two high schools who never took part before taking part this year, and that's the Pierre Charles Secondary School, Grand
Wow.
Bay, and the
Okay.
Goodwill Secondary School. So this will be the first time that these two schools are coming on board. And that to me is progress, because what it means
Yes,
is that
yes,
this thing has spread so that I now have, two new schools, new in terms of not having taken part before. I have
yes.
them saying, okay, we're going to try this. We're going to try this. We're hearing about it. We think that we can prepare a team to take part in this competition. So that for me is a sign of progress. And I look forward to their participation too. I am looking forward to the whole competition, but the Pierre Charles Secondary School coming in and the Goodwill Secondary School, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Now that you have touched on some of the challenges faced, any success stories so far?
Oh yes. Love this. Anytime I look at young people who take part in these sort of, initiatives. I'm all about youth development, and I like to look at young people and how their development is impacted by things that I organize or things that I encourage them to take part in. So I just want to give a quick example of how proud I was of this debating competition when at the youth rally last year during the independence season, the National Youth Rally, one of the hosts, a young lady previously at the Orion Academy, she's currently at the Dominica State College. She was a host along with Firelander. Her name is Diamond Daniel. And when she introduced herself as Diamond Daniel, the winner of the 2024 Intersecondary Schools debating competition. So she introduced herself on that public stage as the debate champion of 2024. That was the
Wow.
highlight of her achievement thus
Wow.
far in her life, so she's introducing herself as the debate champion, and that was a proud moment for me. I said, this is how this thing is impacting people. Now
Mhm.
you have young people who can say, I did this, I took part in this, or I won this, or I was the best speaker in this, and it really enhances their confidence. It enhances their ability to then attempt other things in the public arena, and that is where we're going to get good public people who are willing to represent us. That is from where we're going to get them. These young people who are taking part in these things at this age, and they're going to grow into themselves, grow into their self-confidence, grow into their abilities. And we're going to see them as the future politicians, the future legal minds, the future, this is what we're going to get from these students. And that makes me so when you talk about success, that to me is a success of the competition.
Wow. So basically what you're saying, you're agreeing with me when I said that Trudy Christian and the crew, you guys are planting seeds
Of
with
course.
intention to reap the rewards later.
Yes, yes. And you see it. I mean, obviously seeds don't grow quickly. I am not an agriculture person, but I know, different plants take different times to grow,
Yes,
and
yes,
sometimes
yes.
you might be waiting for a certain thing for a long time. But you have to plant the seed in order to have any chance of
True,
harvesting
true,
any kind of
true,
fruit.
true.
you know so if we're not investing in planting, we will not harvest. The harvest might take time, but I definitely see investing in these young people now in these sort of things, these sort of debating competition, public speaking, anything where they have to think. It's an academic exercise. They have to put themselves forward. They have to do research. They have to stand their ground on certain points. That is, planting some good seeds
Mhm.
for a future harvest that should be good. So that's
Yeah.
what that definitely that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and as we know in agriculture language, that germination process, it is sort of a silent or secret process. People don't really see that
Yes,
process. People see the
yes.
fruits, they see the leaves, they see the stem, but that very critical phase is where the support, the watering, the nurturing. That is what you guys are doing now in terms of these debates. And so, truly, again, I just want to compliment you and tell you that I really wish that I will be there to see in real time in Dominica some of your hard work in terms of what you're doing now with our young people, especially our secondary school students.
Mhm. Yes, yes. And the hope is just that we develop these young people to be minded to make their contribution at home. Because
Yep.
another thing in my career that I've seen, because I have a lot of students that have gone through the Literary and Debating Society at the Dominica State College, bright students who have great
Mhm.
potential, and students who at this time no longer reside in Dominica. So I have gone through the process of molding young minds and seeing them depart, not coming back. So my hope is that at least in those seeds that we're planting now in
True.
this competition, that some of that harvest stays at home, and helps to develop Dominica, because we really need that at
True.
this time.
True, true. Talking about home, what is the support like from parents, guardians, even by extension teachers?
Yes. So initially, and I this is something that it's not just about the debating competition, but just in general, you speak about parental support. It's
Yes.
so important for parents to just show up for young people. You mightn't be able to help them necessarily in whatever it is they're taking part in, but just to show up, to show your face, to show that you are
Moral
behind them.
support. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Now, I remember when I was debating back in my day, my mother would try to come to every debate that she could. But I was a little disappointed, and it's something that I see, that I didn't see more parents turning up to the debates. The debates are always in the afternoon. And I understand that people are working and so on. We also have live coverage at certain times, so people may be able to stay and view it from home. But I would like to see more parental support in terms of actually attending those debates. I saw, by the time it was the semifinals and finals, you'd see some parents come out, but it's important, even if the child is in the first round, to try to show your face at the event, and just being in that crowd, being in that audience definitely enhances the child's confidence and the child's, drive to succeed. So I would say the parental support is there, but the visible support, I want to see more. I want to see more people, the same way we can say sometimes in the afternoon there's a funeral and we have to leave work to go to the funeral. Dominicans are known for that here. It's funeral, we must go, somebody, your child, your niece, your nephew, whatever it may be, is taking part in a debate. Find yourself at the UE campus that afternoon, and show your support in person of those young people. So I want to see more of the parental and relatives support of the young people. In terms of the teachers, I have some coaches at the different high schools that are real passionate about this thing, and they are supporting their children. As a matter of fact, people can get very competitive. So I have coaches that are so competitive, they don't want to accept a loss when their team loses. But from the schools, there's high level of support. I just want to see the parents come out a bit more.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. That support too is critical indeed. Indeed. So I agree with you. In terms of the debate itself, is there an age limit? Is there, how is the selection process, applied?
So, okay, so it's a secondary schools debate. Now, typically, the high schools are free to choose who they want to represent them at the debate competition. But
Okay.
typically, you choose a fourth. Typically, they choose fourth formers. I've seen some third formers take part. So a third former might be around 13 or 14 years old. A fourth former might be about 15 years old. A fifth former would be 16 or 17 years old. The high schools don't generally send the fifth formers because, of course, the fifth formers are prepping for their CSEC exams, and that is a busy time for the fifth formers. So traditionally, you would see the high schools selecting their fourth formers, and that's students, around the age of 15, possibly 16. That's the type of age we see taking part in the competition. But really, it's open to any high school student. It's up to the high school to determine, strategically, who do they want to send.
Okay, indeed. All right, folks, it is 6:30 already. Let's take a little break now. We're at the bottom of the hour. Those of you just maybe have been tuning in at this time, we're talking to none other than Miss Trudy Christian about this inter-secondary school debate competition that started, as she said, in 2003 and will be 2023. Sorry, what did I say? 2003. 2023. Sorry, that will be continuing on this year. Let's take a break. If you have a question, a call, or comment, the numbers to call, they are 44. Yes, not 44. Sorry, 276. I forgot my numbers to call. 614. Sorry, 614-9074 and also 245-2396. Or you can place your comment in the live feed at this time. Let's take a musical break. We're gonna hear from Itana singing about My Roots talking about the young people that we are focusing on this evening.
You can't hide the truth from the youth. You can steal the fruit, not the roots. Cause the youth, how will they roots? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. Give them cartoons.
Talking about the young people of Dominica, read this debating competition.
Your boys in there
Put on by Miss Trudy Christian and crew.
that you won, but them all a meditation. Oh, in the iration. And them a follow us the far eye. And I live upright. So tell me where you are gonna do now. Tell me what you gonna do now.
A comment here coming in from Brother Marshall. Marshall Lawrence reads, yes, we need her to organize something among the adults, especially parliamentarians. Wow, that's a high order, Trudy. Especially among parliamentarian candidates and potential constituency caretakers. So folks, yes, if you want to make a call to the program, the numbers to call into the program, they are 245-2396. They're scrolling across your screen as we speak, or 615-9470. The importance of debating. Brother Peter Carbon is writing here, the youth must know that there is much more to life than CWO. I agree with you 110%, Brother Carbon. It seems as if these days, that is all our young people, they are participating in or prepared to enjoy CWO, and more CWO.
Tell me what you gonna do now.
But with Miss Christian around, Trudy Christian around, and others, at least some of the young people have an alternative.
Hide the truth from the youth.
And so those of them who, year after year keep participating in these programs, we want to compliment them as well.
You can't want a dose and dilute. You can't hide the truth from the youth. You can steal the fruit, not the root.
So yes, Brother Carbon, I agree with you indeed. There is still hope. Yes, still hope for our country, Dominica.
Live up now, youth, hold your roots.
Youth, hold your root, indeed, says Etana. All right, let's get back to Trudy Christian here as we continue in here. Trudy, in terms of where we were in terms of the age and some of the students, you said fourth form, that is, they enter the competition from fourth form, third form level, is that?
Yes. For form.
From just about there.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
15, 16 years old.
All right. In your mind, based on, you have been going through that process for 3 years now. What do you think, why do you think that at fourth form is the, sort of choice year that the students are being, chosen from?
Selected. Yeah. So what it is that's the age of a certain amount of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
I think ideally the schools would want to use the oldest students, the fifth formers. But as I said, these have to be engaged with all the preparation for the CSEC exams. So the fifth formers, time constrains them. So the next level of most senior students is the fourth formers. So it's just a matter of seniority, because some of the topics, of course, require the students to have a certain level of maturity in a to have, you know, a good discussion or debate on some of those topics. So a first former, a second former, you know, too young to engage. I shouldn't say too young. The people, some people
Yeah,
mature,
yeah,
you
they
know,
mature
at
different
different
time, different
rates.
age.
Yes,
Yes.
different times. But traditionally, you would see the level of maturity at fourth form is just about right for schools to select
Yeah.
students from.
Yeah. And talking about topic now, what is the topic for this year's competition?
So many different topics. So what happens is, so let me just explain the competition. So this year we have a total of 12 high schools taking
Uh,
part. So in
uh-huh.
the first round, you have debates. Of course, a debate is between two schools. So
Yes.
the debates happen, and the winners of that first round, the winning schools, move on to a second round.
Okay.
And then the winners of the second round move on to the semifinals. And then eventually you'll get to the finals where there'll just be two schools left standing, and the winner is the overall winner. So at each round, there are different topics for
Okay, I
debate.
get you. I get you. Okay,
Yes.
cool.
So at each round, there are different topics for debate. So this week, we're going to see on Tuesday two debates, and both of them are going to be around this topic. Now, this is interesting. The topic is, and I will just paraphrase it quickly, that skills-based learning is more important than academic training to meet the economic needs of Dominica. So there'll be two debates where the students will be arguing whether it is the skills that are now more important when we talk about building the economy than
Mhm.
these academic based programs that maybe were popularized in the past. Like people would say, do law, you know,
Yes.
do medicine. But is it now that the skills based programs, you know, your plumbing, your refrigeration and AC, are these the building and construction, the
Mhm.
carpentry, are
Mhm.
these programs now better or more critical in building our economy than the academic-based programs? So there'll be two debates on this topic on Tuesday. Isaiah Thomas Secondary School is going up against Portsmouth Secondary
Oh,
School on
okay.
that topic. And also, let's see, I believe yes, and Pierre Charles Secondary going up against Goodwill Secondary on that topic,
Okay.
right? So that's on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, there is another interesting one. So in Dominica, what exists is that the age of consent is 16. But in order for people to access sexual and reproductive health services, they must be accompanied by a parent up until the age of 18. So there's a difference there. The age of consent is 16, but if you have to go to a health clinic for some sort of reproductive health something, you must have your parent with you. So there's a difference there in age. 16
There's
for consent,
there's a
18.
real contradiction right there. I can see that
Yes.
already.
Right. So the debates on Wednesday will be around this topic. The debates on Wednesday will be around, should adolescents who have already reached the age of consent, that's 16, still require their parent to come with them if they have to access a reproductive service, get birth control or get, you know, a pap smear, whatever it is, should they still require their parents? So there is that topic coming up on Wednesday. And the St. Mary's Academy is tackling that against grammar school, as well as Cassie Bruce coming up against the St. Martin Secondary School on that topic. So we have on that day, that is Wednesday, we have two debates once again. On Wednesday. Right. So I made a mistake. So the St. Martin Secondary School and Cassie Bruce, they will be doing the one on skills versus academics. And Pierre Charles and Goodwill are doing the ones on adolescence and age of consent. So that's on Wednesday. And then on the last day for this week, um, the last day of debate for this week is Thursday, and that's Convent High School versus Wesley High School. And this topic is one, Lofty, I think a lot of people talk about this in different forums on social media. It's whether this recent body positivity movement is leading to adolescents being desensitized on the health risk of obesity. So it's the body positivity, accepting all body shapes and sizes, and encouraging body positivity. Has it desensitized our young people to the obesity risks? So that
Wow.
will be the debate on Thursday between two all-female schools. So it's very interesting. The Convent High School and the Wesley High School will be debating on body positivity and its impact on obesity among young people. So that's what we have lined up this week. So 3 different topics and a total of 5 debates this week.
True. Wow. Well, for sure, they're all interesting topics, but I can tell you the second one you mentioned, the consent
Age of
situation, and
consent.
exactly that one to
Yes.
me will be a bombshell. I can tell you that because
Yes. And I
right.
see Lofty, one of your one of the viewers is saying she's a nurse and she's struggling with this every day. So it's something that the health people will definitely, be able to resonate with, because they're in the health practice and you have young people, they've reached the age of consent. But their parents are supposed to come with them for for any sort of sexual and reproductive health service.
Well, let me just add before that, their parents are not supposed to come with them when they're doing the first phase, but then the parents are asked to come with them on the second round. That's very interesting. That's very interesting indeed. Trudy, I just want to, compliment you guys for, keeping the young people up and alive in terms of, their debating skills, because we see families today, some members of families, they're struggling along those departments. For example, anything is a quarrel, a feud, young people, they're in parties, and young people really cannot solve problems amicably. And so these skills that you guys are imparting, trust me, they will bear fruits.
Yes,
They will bear
and that is
fruits.
my hope. That is my
Yeah.
hope. And I also want us to become more open to engaging in debates. I will tell you, Lofty, that I have challenges with topic selection. There are some topics that some schools don't want to touch. It might be because of, religious prevention. So that age of consent topic had a little, there was a little pushback on that.
Yeah.
As it was felt to possibly be opening up certain schools to a religious part of the argument that they cannot engage in because of the school's religious background. I try to stay away from that type of topic. Also, politics, although I've never, put forward any partisan politics topic. But this year, I did put forward one topic as it relates to term limits for political leaders, whether there should be term limits for political leaders. And I got some pushback on that. So people are, so there is still,
Wow.
this. Yeah, so there is still, with the high schools, you still have to try very, very hard to make it be topics. And it's because of the polarization of the society. So people are very um
Touchy,
hesitant,
touchy on,
yes,
on
to
certain
make,
topics.
yeah, on certain topics, because I guess they don't want to open up the students to any sort of backlash.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the topic selection has to be very careful, because what you want to do is engage the young people, have them debate, but at the same time, if it's going to be problematic for them, otherwise you don't want to, But I was a
Yes.
little disappointed. I wanted to see that term limits topic come forth, but I had to pull that one because I got some pushback on it from the schools. So I had to pull back that one. But we'll see in round 2 which topics make it to the next round, to round 2.
Yeah, but as you're speaking there and talking about, you got this sort of pushback on the topic age limits in terms of our politicians now.
Yeah.
I'm
Term limits.
term limits, sorry. I'm
Yes.
finding it kind of, strange, because that is where the world is going.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
And it's a
where for example, if we talk about we're a democratic country, there are some tenets of democracy that is like a non-brainer. So term limits, whatever it is for electoral reform or free and fair elections. You know, I mean to say these things are not supposed to be hidden anymore. Our
I
students
know.
supposed to be exposed to these things so that when they come from the secondary schools, entering college, and entering that adult life, then they can be much more, because as you said rightly so, it is from that pool of people then we're going to select candidates, we're going to select future lawyers, doctors, whatever profession they are. So to me, sort of hiding it from them, it is not doing justice at all.
Yes, yes. As I said, I was disappointed because I wanted that one to be one of the round one topics. So it came up for the round one. But what I also didn't want to do is prevent any the schools, that indicated they didn't want to do it. I did not want to, I want to have maximum participation from the schools.
Yes,
So I just
yes.
had to sort of switch around and pull some other topic and, make everybody, but I will continue because it's always important to try to push the envelope a little bit, so as the competition progresses, this is round one, but there's round two, there's the semifinals, there's the finals. So we'll see, how we sort of engage in terms of topics on different areas as we move forward. This first round, I just detailed the three topics, but there's round two, three, and semis, and finals. So it can get a bit more interesting as the rounds progress.
Yes, indeed, indeed. What are some of the prizes or the gifts that some of the students who participate and those who become winners at the end of the competition, sort of look forward to?
Okay, so
Your
tradition.
sponsorships.
Yeah, so that's where sponsorship is really important. Sponsorship. So I have, and what I'm not afraid of doing, Lofty, is using my network. So I have people that I call and I say, can you do some prizes for this round or that round? I did that just this afternoon. I wanted some prizes for best speaker, and I called on someone from my network on Facebook, and he agreed to sponsor the prizes for best speaker for round one. So the prizes in the different rounds, students get trophies, but they also get consolation prizes if they don't win. So we've given certain things in the past, like airports and gift certificates to different places like movies, what you call it, the games, multiverse games, different gift certificates to areas that they would be interested in. But the final prize is a trip for four to St. Lucia, all expenses paid. And that's what I really channel, the sponsorship money into that final prize to give the students that win an opportunity to travel with their coach and, enjoy the fruits of their labor, I would say, after going through four rounds of debates and emerging champions. So the ultimate prize is a trip to St. Lucia, and the students get to stay at a hotel, the expenses are paid. In the past 2 years, so last year the Orion Academy won and they got that trip, and the year before the Arthur Waldron SDA Academy won and they got that trip. So all the feedback is that the students really enjoy that experience, the winners, to get to go at the end of everything, and they have won, they get to go on that trip and enjoy their vacation time in St. Lucia. So I hope to do that this year as well, so that the final prize is a trip for four to St. Lucia. But all throughout the debate, and that's one thing about young people, and I want people to that people who are listening have to understand, these things are difficult to execute because they take a lot of money, because the students need to be incentivized as they go along. Young people these days are very much about instant gratification.
They
So
want
you
it
tell the
now.
young Yes. So you tell the young people there's a trip for the winner. But I mean, what about those who take part in the first round and they don't make
True,
it to?
true,
So at
true.
every round, you need to incentivize them, because you don't want it to be that they took part in this competition and they feel like, all their work was for nothing, even if they didn't make it all the way through. So that's why at each round, we give prizes to all the students, as I said, gift certificates, anything that we get from my network. As I said, I beg my network very openly. I say, hey guys, I'm looking for prizes for for my debaters. What can you give? And people will say, I'll give cash, I'll give a gift certificate, I'll give this, I'll give that. And we make use of anything that we get as prizes for the students.
Yeah. Also, too, Trudy, we have a pool of people watching and listening conversation. Would you want to invite those people to be part of your network team in terms of price or whatever, judges, whatever it is? The opportunity is
Yes,
yours
of
now.
course. This is a good opportunity, Lofty. Last time I was on your program, one of your viewers, that's Dr. Peltier, she reached out after the program and she became a sponsor for, I believe it was the semifinals of the competition. And so I'm reaching out here on this platform. If anybody's listening and they say, I really feel like I would want to give a prize for the best speaker for the finals, or for the best speaker for whatever it is. Or maybe my thing is rebuttal. I love to see the young people and how they are able to refute um, the other the other team's points. So you want to have a special prize for best rebuttal. I've also had that, so best rebuttal can be your special prize named after you. And you want to reach out to me and say, hey, that's what I want to do for the competition. That's fine with me. I am open to anybody, as I said, wanting to help out. And in terms of judges, I do have a pool of judges already. But if you feel you're so inclined and you maybe have interest, you can also reach out to me if you're available. The competition takes place. The first round is in January, the second round is in February, third round is in March, and the finals should be right before Easter. So that's the timeline we're looking at. The competition lasts for 4 months. So it's 4 months of debating that's about to take place here in Dominica.
Wow. Thank you very much. Someone is asking there, is there an OECS school debate competition? Do you know?
There is no OECS school debating competition. We had started in 2017 a Windward Islands debating competition amongst the tertiary institutions of the Windward Islands. And we did that because the Leeward Islands have had a long-standing debate competition. Their competition is about 40-something years old at this point. So the Windwards said, let's get on board. And that competition started, but unfortunately, COVID-19 made us go virtual, and we have yet to return to an in-person competition for the Windward Islands since COVID-19. The OECS Commission is organizing something revolving around recycling, and it's just a one-off. It's not every year. Yeah, there's a recycling-based competition, and that is happening next month. It's for the tertiary institutions of Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada. So just 4.
Okay,
yeah, but
good.
no yearly OECS school debate. That does not exist. No.
Okay, indeed. The time is slowly but surely slipping away, Trudy. Let me just go to the live feed if I can pick up some comments or suggestions there and punch them at you so that we can wrap in just a bit. Althea Rainey is asking there, are the competitions going to be linked on Facebook or on any social media platform? I'm adding.
Yes. So once again, challenging logistics-wise in terms of sponsorship and live streaming is money. I will be bringing the first round. Dominica News Online has come on board once again as a partner, and they will be bringing some of the first round debates. I will also be bringing them on the Facebook page of the Intersecondary Schools Debating Competition, and I will do the same for round 2. And by the semifinals and the finals, DBS Radio is on board to bring live coverage both on their radio frequencies and on their social media platforms. And as well, we would hope to have MO News by that time also covering live. But people would understand the expense of live coverage. So, I've had to kind of, for the first round, I cannot promise every debate will be on a live stream, but by the semifinals, as I said, DBS Radio has fully committed to do full radio and social media, as well as I will bring on MO News at that time as well. So as the competition gets, more advanced and more
Yes.
competitive, we will definitely have full streaming available.
Okay, that's good. Patricia Fontaine writes here, very interesting topics to broaden the knowledge of the children's mind. Well chosen topics, she adds. Let me see here. Marshall, no, well, I asked you this one about the OECS. Antoine George is talking about there will be dictators without term limits. If a dictator do pop up, okay, we can skip this one for now in terms of the relevancy of the topic at hand. But yes, Trudy, the final moments that we have in terms of wrapping up or driving home some points before we leave, how and where would you just want to do that?
So I just want to encourage, listeners to support the initiative. We do have a Facebook page for the debating competition, Facebook and Instagram. It's Inter-Secondary Schools Debating Competition Dominica. Inter-Secondary Schools Debating Competition Dominica. That's where I will be posting the videos or the live of the debating competition as we move along. Also, you will be able to support, through following us on news media. I mentioned DBS Radio is on board, particularly from the semis, moving into the finals. Q95 also does some advertising for us for the competition. So you'll hear updates on those media platforms. Of course, Loftus, you've always given me a platform to discuss the debates as well. So I'm sure I can send updates to you for people who want to, keep tuned as to what's going on for the debates for the 4 months. And I just want to tell people, if you have an interest and you want to support this endeavor, you can reach out to me. My email address, trudy.christian@gmail.com. And of course, I'm accessible on social media, Trudy Christian on Facebook. And anybody can reach out to me via those platforms.
Give us that email again, Trudy.Christian.
Trudy, TRUDY dot Christian at gmail.com.
At gmail.com, okay.
Yes. So
okay, yeah, what I can tell you, Trudy, is that we from Civic Vibes and we have not discussed it as yet, but I'll sure be taking back your information, our team, they are listening, and to see how we can continue to participate even further and may even, lend support in terms of a gift or two for the different, segments of your competition.
Thank you so much for that, Loftus. I see someone asked about the role of the Ministry of Education. Let me just address that.
Yes.
The Ministry of Education, I have not been able to get the debates on the official calendar of the Ministry of Education, but there is support from the ministry. I can say that at least for the finals of the debate, the Ministry of Education has in the past come on board and given some sponsorship to the final leg of the competition. And I anticipate that they will do so again this year. So the Ministry of Education is supportive of the engagement. The next step is to have this competition be a part of the official calendar of school events of the Ministry of Education. That's the next step that I hope to achieve with the ministry.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very, very much, Miss Christian. I know there's much more we can talk about, but in the interest of time, we already have our second guest lined up and waiting here. So I just want to thank you. Always a pleasure having you on board for us to whenever the need arises, Trudy, please feel free to contact Civic Vibes so that at least you can get this extra gig in terms of your information going out.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Do enjoy what is left of your Sunday evening, that is.
Thanks. I will try. So, and good evening to all your listeners. Thanks for having me on.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now we're calling on the African National Council. We're calling on the Southwest African People's Organization. Now! children cry, freedom. On the petrol rise, freedom. See my people crying for freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom. On the children weep, freedom. And red blood run free, freedom. See my people crying for freedom. 400 years now we've been working as your slave. Why can't you free us? Let us have a separate ways. Equal rights and justice wasn't made for just one man. Demand our freedom cause we need a liberation. Hey, freedom of expression. Freedom of us.
He calls this one freedom.
Written in the human rights of declaration.
Brother Nasir Fontaine.
So,
Greetings to you, my brother, you and your family out there.
and the children and red blood run.
What a powerful first hour indeed, with none other than Miss Trudy Christian talking about this debating competition among our secondary school students in Dominica.
Hear the children cry, and does that all rise? See my people crying for freedom.
See my people crying for freedom.
We need the freedom in a full equality. Freedom for Mandela from apartheid misery. We don't need no sanction from no big time hypocrites. While we there are so far they gone playing politics. Cause hey, freedom of expression, freedom of speech.
Freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom from politics.
Narration. So,
what a powerful first hour indeed. Folks, if you're just tuning in at this time, it is 2 minutes in Dominica and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean.
See my people crying for freedom.
Up next, the second hour, with none other than Mr. Alex Bruno,
And red blood run deep.
a professor in the political arena.
See my people crying.
We're going to have a very candid and interesting conversation with the brother in just a bit.
Wow!
A topic that have been on some of your lips or all of your lips for some time, that is the inauguration and the re-election of Mr. Donald John Trump, the 47th president of the United States of America.
The 12 tribes of Israel.
Some may hate him, some may love him.
Rastafari.
But yes, he is the 47th president. And we're going to have a conversation with his brother.
Need the freedom in a full equality. Freedom for Mandela from apartheid misery. We don't need no.
A very polarizing figure indeed.
While we there are suffer, they gon'
So I know some of you may like what you're about to hear.
freedom of
Some of you may not like what you will be hearing in just a bit,
freedom of us.
but it is what it is.
Written in the human rights of declaration.
Our brother Alvin Thomas is here.
So, and the children
And so yes, stay tuned for that all-important second hour with the man Alex
Hey, Lofty.
Bruno.
see my people dying for
Let's say good evening to Mr. Alvin Thomas. You were missed in this first segment.
Yes, Lofty, I was MIA, man. IMA. MIA, as they say. My computer was acting up, man, you know. Like signal band, you know, signal band say the what they say? The devil set a trap for you.
Well, I hope it's not the man, the 47th president that set a trap for you, because we're about to have that discussion. Read him and the man's land, eh?
Well, boy, I see, but I don't understand what's going on. My boy Alex Bruno is coming, and it's today the devil want to set a trap for me. That ain't gonna work, man. I got to find a way to get out of that.
All right. But
I heard a little of Trudy from my phone, and it was quite an interesting first hour. I think he covered quite a bit of area. Knowing Trudy and what she can deliver, I didn't expect anything less from her. And of course, you did pretty well, handling the song as usual.
Yes, Alvin, thank you very much, my brother. And again, welcome and thank you for always making time to share with your Dominican people. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
All right. Mr. Alex Bruno, good evening to you, my brother, and welcome again to that space, Civic Vibes. We are here with you this evening. You're here with us. We always appreciate your presence. We always appreciate the conversations that you have with us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Lofty. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invite. And it's an honor to share this platform with Brother Alvin as well. Yeah.
Indeed.
Good
I
to
know
have
Alvin
you.
wants
Good
to
to
say
have
something.
you. No, good to have you. Good to have you, Alex. It's always a pleasure, man. So look forward to a very interesting conversation this afternoon.
Yeah.
All right, folks, those of you who have been following the politics in America, we had an election and when the 4th of November, Alex, that was it, the 4th of
Yes.
November?
Yes.
4th of November last year. We had a winner in the name of Mr. Donald Trump. We had his fellow competitor along, who competed against him. That is, what's her name? Kamala Harris. Yes, Kamala Harris. Trump emerged winner, sort of in a landslide victory, as it were. And we had the inauguration of Mr. Trump on the 20th of January. And we have been hearing a lot of things so far. So we are going to have this conversation with Mr. Alex Bruno, who is a professor of the political, the scientific part of the political arena. Yeah. And so, Mr. Bruno, thank you very much again for coming on. As I said, Alex, the conversation we're about to have, it's about politics. And I know we have people around who will support one over the other. Yeah. And so some of what you may say this afternoon may square up very well with certain people. Others may be chastising you at the end of the program. But it is what it is. Life goes on.
Yeah. Nothing new. Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Alex has a broad back, man, you know. I mean, anytime you go into the calypso arena, you have to have a broad back, you know. Anytime you venture in that circle and either sing off yourself or sing off others, you got to have a broad back. So I think Alex can take his blows by now, man. He's a big boy.
Of course, that's what I signed up for, you know. So let's go. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right. Well, Alex, yes, again, thank you. The topic we're going to cover this evening is about, as we said, Donald Trump being the 47th president of the United States and the implications for us as a region and in particular Dominica. Alex, we know you came prepared to deliver, and we wouldn't want you to start where, to sort of throw you off. So where exactly, Alex, would you want to start the conversation with us this evening? And for sure, we'd follow up with some questions or comments and also, interact with our listeners and viewers.
Well, anywhere, I mean, I would not really want to do a long preamble to give you adequate time to deal with all the questions you have. And I'll take any questions on American government and politics because that's my area of expertise. And I'll answer you honestly and consciously. I am an independent registered voter, American citizen, and I have no party allegiance. So when I talk about politics, it's always about the theories, the ideas, the government, the constitution, how the government works, taking no sides. So I'll give it to you as honestly as I can give that to you. But what I would like to set the ball rolling with is that the American system of government is different from every other system of government that we know, especially in Dominica and in the Caribbean. Because we have a presidential system where power is shared between the national and local government. And also it is divided in 3 branches in the national government. So there's a lot of checks and balances taking place. So even number 47 is the president of America. He does not have all the power to do everything he would like to do, as, let's say, our prime minister can in Dominica. The country of Dominica's prime minister is more powerful than the president of America in terms of the control of the government. So yes, our new president, and I'm saying our because I'm an American citizen, maybe someone with grandeur of wanting to do so many things, but there's going to become a time when the system will actually work to check him. Right now, it seems as if his team the Republicans are working with the agenda, but there's going to be a time when he's going to be checked when it is needed the most. And he's not the worst of the lots we have had in terms of presidents. We have had some terrible presidencies. And number 47, well, he was 45th, now he's 47. He's a glimmer of past really terrible presidencies. I believe the system that America has in place, thanks to the Constitution, will neutralize his ambition in due course. But it's going to be a bit rocky. And I'm afraid that many of the people in his party are going to want to go along with him. But in 2025, I do not see America going back to 1898 or 1827 or 1960. It's not possible. But there are little signs that suggest that there's going to be a rocky road ahead. And I refer to him as number 47, Lofty, because I do not call the name of our present president. Why? Because his name is a brand. Trump spells his name, and that's a commercial brand. I don't promote brand, nor do I want to take anything away from his name or add anything to his name, because he's such an indifferent character in the presidency. So as a professional courtesy to him, I just do not mention his name. So I will never call the name in a public forum. And on our program today, I'll make reference of him or to him as number 47.
Wow. All right. Thank you very much, Alex, for sort of laying down that groundwork, as it were. Give us an idea, Alex, of the American system in terms of the politics, as it were.
So America had a couple of governments before, the monarchy and the confederal system. The monarchy, of course, as we know, because we were under colonial leadership, the king controlled America, and America kind of rebelled against it and created a system on their own, a confederal system, where the 13 original colonies had independence among themselves, and they tried to create a national government not too strong. That government was too weak. So the Confederacy was more about maintaining the status quo and trying to promote state rights. So because the states were divided, like you see Africa right now, with all the countries in Africa, that's what America was before America became united under the federal system. So the Confederacy promoted states' rights, and it tried to protect the sovereignty of each different colony. That did not work. So they decided to create a federal government, and with that, have a framework called the Constitution to limit the powers of the federal government so that it cannot be too powerful, it will not take over the rights of the states, and that it shares powers with the states. So the American system was built with different layers, vertically and horizontally, to balance off the aggression of the federal government and the presidency. Because the framers who put the American system together was very wary of a very powerful president. And they put a lot of traps in place to mitigate against that. So that's what the framers did. They created a vertical and horizontal check on the powers, especially of the presidency and the federal government. So the American governing system is very complex, with control and checks, horizontal and vertical. And the president, who is not the head of government, well, he's the head of government, yes, but he's the head of state, but he's the head of the executive branch of the government. The speaker would be the head of the legislative arm, and the chief justice would be the quasi-head of the judiciary. All these people have a major part to play in the government. So no one person controls the American government. If at all anybody has a big say in the government, is the Speaker of the House. That's the one who begins the proceedings, the legislative proceedings, the impeachments, and so on. The president signs the protocols for the administration of the government, and the judiciary tells the president when they go out of law. And they have done so with him in the recent past. Just recently, they told him that he has to hear the charges of a case that he was found guilty of. He was trying not to have the charge read to him. The judiciary told him, no, sir, you have to hear the charges, you have to get the conviction, and here we go. So that's the three separate and independent co-equal branches of government in the federal government, and the states also do their intrastate matters where they have their own rights and responsibilities that the federal government cannot get involved with. So Lofty, in a nutshell, that's how the American government is set up, to give the states control to give the federal autonomy based on the Constitution, but to restrict the federal government's powers and have them not to do certain things that the states did not want them to do, because it's the states that created the federal government to unite them into the United States of America.
Yeah, point taken. Alex, just before Brother Thomas comes in, you made a very profound statement which sort of, raised my eyebrow, as it were.
Yeah.
So let me punch it back at you so that you can expound on it to sort of clarify that point for our listeners out there and viewers. You said that whoever sits in the chair of Prime Minister in Dominica now is Roosevelt Skerrit.
Yes.
That person is, in your mind, much more in a powerful position rather, than the President of America. Explain, sir.
Easily, very easily. So, yes, the Prime Minister of a sovereign country in the parliamentary system singularly is much more powerful than the President of America. Why? Because the President of America do not get to appoint a cabinet of electors, a cabinet. All the advisors who advise the president must get congressional approval. So that is number one.
Okay.
There's very little or nothing at all that one president can do to elect and even to dismiss his cabinet. Yes, you can get rid of people, but you have to have reasons why. And you certainly cannot put a cabinet of people together on your own. You have to get congressional approval. The president also cannot get involved in lawmaking. Yes, they can advise Congress to make laws, but the president is not the head of the parliament, not the head of the Congress. In Dominica, the prime minister is the head of the parliament. In America, the vice president is the head of the Senate, not even the entire Congress. So the president may speak, but the president doesn't have any clout over what the lawmakers do. That's number two. So one, the president cannot appoint his own cabinet. You can nominate people and get them approved by the legislature. If they don't want somebody, they say, no, we don't want that person. No parliament can tell a prime minister that they cannot take somebody to serve in their cabinet. And two, the president is not the head of the parliament or the legislature or the Congress, as is the case in Dominica. The prime minister of Dominica controls parliament. In America, the president does not control Congress. The vice president has constitutional power to oversee the operations of Congress, of the Senate, but not the president. So those two major things. And we can talk about a number of other appointments that our prime minister can make that presidents cannot make. The people who serve on the judiciary, they must get congressional approval in terms of the federal court as well. So everything that he does has to get the blessing of the parliament or the Congress that is meeting separately and independently from him. So you have the executive in Dominica that controls the ministries, that controls the parliament and everything. In America, the president only controls the presidency, and that's it, nothing else. So that, and I can give you many other examples, but it will take me the entire night doing so. So that really is the crux of the matter. The Prime Minister of Antigua, Dominica, St. Kitts, Barbados has more power over the control of the government than the President of America has over the American government.
Okay, point taken. Alvin?
Yes, lovely. No, I think Alex have raised and touched on a number of pertinent issues, and he's absolutely correct. In terms of the powers of the Prime Minister of any one of the Commonwealth Caribbean, they do have more powers, and it's, as he just explained, is based on the structure of government, where the Prime Minister is also, I wouldn't even say de facto, but is head of the Parliament. One of the things that I know when they did a constitutional review a couple of years ago, Dr. Liverpool and a couple of the guys who were looking at the Constitution of Dominica, and I think some exercise was done in St. Vincent as well, was to demarcate that role that the Prime Minister has in the Parliament. These were some of the issues that were raised, because bear in mind, Lofty, in our case in the English-speaking Caribbean, we pretty much inherited that constitution. It was handed down to us from England. And And one might say, regrettably, that that constitution was designed for these English lords and these guys, and they send it down to us down here. And in some respect, we may have not implemented as it should and abuse it in some respect. One critical area, for example, has to do with the whole question of calling elections. You know, in America, everybody knows when election is going to be held. There's no ifs, no buts about it. In Dominica, the prime minister, in terms of the power that Alex just spoke about, he alone can determine when an election is going to call. Yeah. And if he decides it's going to be called on Tuesday morning or Ash Wednesday or Christmas Day or Boxing Day, it doesn't matter. That's a prerogative that he has. Yeah. And nobody can, I mean, you can talk about it, but constitutionally, he can do it. And there is no challenge. So I think Alex is quite right. But if I may though, Alex, you hear of the guardrails. You hear that term used a lot of times in governments and so. And while it is true, you pointed out some of those guardrails that exist in terms of the Senate, the Congress, the judiciary. Do you think those guardrails, those rails are going to hold up? You know, you can have a rail, and if you push against the rail, it collapses, you know, and it doesn't really serve its purpose. What's your take on that in terms of the guardrails that are there now in the U.S. system and the extent to which the 47 is pushing against that rail to collapse it?
Yeah. Well, Alvin, it appears as if the rails are collapsible, especially because of the Republican Party that has so pretty much give the platform to MAGA. And let me kind of explain that. So MAGA is Make America Great Again. That's a movement that is owned by Number 47. It is a right-wing populist movement that is bent on eroding the authority of government. Populist movements do not recognize the status quo. So he's a right-wing guy. There are people who are populists as well on the left wing, like Maduro would have been a left-wing populist. He's a right-wing populist who has embraced white nationalism, white Christian nationalism. And with that, all the extremist groups on the right have bought into this. And the Conservative Party as well have bought into this. So it appears as if the entire right wing of America, as far right as possible, down to the Republican Party, are in cahoots with Number 47 and the MAGA movement. So I am afraid that that's where we are right now. But I believe, Alvin, that the American system will call them to stand, to respond to the urgent calls that are going to come. And they are going to come. And you saw a bishop the other day, right in plain view of the president, said, look, have mercy on the people. He wasn't very happy, and they have spun it as a liberal attack on him. No, it was just a conscious person making the statement. And all it takes is one voice, one judge in the judiciary to say, no, we're not going to do this. That's not going to be the precedence. And if a federal judge rules on a case, that's a national ruling. So yes, it looks bad, Alvin, and I'm afraid it might get worse before it gets better. But I think because of how the system was created, somewhere down the line, somebody's going to stand up. It might be a Dr. King. Somebody might die for that reckoning to happen, but it's going to happen. And I think at the end of the day, America will purge itself from the turmoil that the presidency that is controlled by Number 45 brings. Again, I'm not criticizing 47. I'm just putting it as I see it. He's an indifferent character. He's a populist, and his main intention is to erode the status quo, to demolish what we know as government, and to create a new order, so to speak. Will that work? 50-50. But if I had to bet on the odds, I would bet on the side of the American system and say that somebody is going to awaken to the reality and say, no, we have gone too far. Let's kind of adjust it. Probably there might be an impeachment in the future as well, you know, and if there's another impeachment of 47, I think that one might stick. There might be a resignation. I do not know. But based on how things are going, with over 100 executive orders on the first day, with rolling back so many gains that we have made as a country just by the stroke of a pen, there I think is going to be some backfire, some pushback. And I think America is going to be okay at the end of the day.
So having said that though, Alex, let's just move aside now. Where do you see the Democrats' role in all of that as the other major party in the country? Because America being a two-party system, where do you see, and I know before the program ends, we want to look at what are the implications for the rest of the world, including the Caribbean.
Yes.
And Dominica, because you know the president's view on China and all that stuff and our relationship with China and so. But before we get to that, how do you speak of, where do you see the Democrats now? Do you think they are in a position where they are recouping, or they're dead, or they haven't revised yet, or they're still suffering from that shock of November the 4th?
Okay, well, parties are built on ideologies, and ideologies do not die. As a man of ideologies yourself, Alvin, you know that, and Lofty as well. So an ideology will never die. The Democratic Party is built on a set ideology, so that will never die. But the party has been severely wounded. And I think the president, Biden, has a lot of blame to take for where the party is today. Biden should not have put himself up for contesting a second term, because he campaigned saying that he was a transitionary president and he would kind of open up to the future. He knew that he was not as efficient as he would have liked to have been, and he should have been honest with himself and the people and moved away before. I mean, you cannot give a candidate 90 days to try to win an election when the person she's going up against had been at this for 12 years. The MAGA was just too powerful.
Rosie won in 30 days.
Well, in Dominica.
That's just on the side. That's just on the side.
And we can get back there and tell you how Baby Rosie won too. But it is just the machinery, the electoral machinery.
No, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
It was just too much to do that. And then the first debate, and then you step down. And it really left the party vulnerable. Vulnerable. And a number of things happened for the MAGA base with the I guess, attempted assassination and the second poaching out at his place and stuff like that. To win an election calls for a lot of grandstanding and seizing the moment. And he seized the moment. He won. I had no doubt that he was going to win. In fact, on media declarations, I felt that he was going to be the winner and become president of America. So the best candidate does not always win the presidency. It is the one who does the job to win the presidency. And a lot of the blame has to be put on the footstep of the former president, and the way in which they campaigned. They neglected certain things, and they focused too much on one set of things when MAGA focused on many different things. So I think the Democratic Party has a lot to do. I do not see Miss Harris as probably the candidate next time around. If she gets to do it, she'll be very lucky. And she has a lot of work to really get the party to align with her again. Probably she's the best next person, but I do not see naturally a natural coronation of her following the defeats that she had by number 47. There are going to be new blood. There are going to be some introspection, some great reflection. And I would hope that another Obama, for the sake of the party, would emerge and to help the party out the next time around. But for now, the party is in shambles, and the party has a lot to do to gain the admiration of its major base, blacks, and people minorities, and the big coalition that MAGA was able to take from the party. The party has a lot to work to get that back. Can the party do it? Of course. With 4 years, yes. I think the party is going to win the House, hopefully, at the midterm. It looks like that, and may contest for the Senate as well, in terms of the midterm elections. So it's not all lost. And if the party do what it has to do, I think things will be balanced off a bit by the midterm. Certainly for the House, I suspect, if not the Senate. It depends on how aggressive the president goes. If he continues on this aggression, I think his presidency will be very tumultuous. If he gets a grab of of what the presidency is supposed to do and balance things out and tame his aggression a bit, I think he could enjoy 2-3 years of the presidency. But with the way he's going, I don't think he's going to enjoy the presidency for very long if he does not reconcile his aggression with what is really necessary for America.
The reality, yeah.
Yeah.
Lofty.
All right. Alex, as I said before, we're going to have, candid conversation with Mr. Trump. I know, for example, based on who you speak to, Alex, some people despise this brother to death. Some people love him to death. Let us go into the minds and hearts of people who love Donald Trump. What in your mind, Alex, is this or has this brother done, for example, during the campaign to sort of woo people on his side, and he ended up winning in much bigger a margin than in 2016?
Well, I'm not sure the margin was bigger in terms of the number of people who voted for him, because less Democrats voted than they did the last time. I think more people of his vote this time around. So I think it looked big because less Democrats voted. But yes, he won the college vote and he won the popular vote. So that's a bigger win. That's a strong mandate. It's not a 50% plus mandate, but it's a nice mandate. What he did, Lofty, to get that mandate is to place himself as a Christ-like figure, a savior, a sort of shining hope for America's future because of where America was economically for the past 2-3 years. I mean, things had started to change, but following the pandemic and some of the policies that the last administration did, things economically were up there. I mean, Alvin lives in America, and a case of eggs was like $5 and something cents. Now it's like $12, $15. So people are feeling the pinch, and he positioned himself as the person who is going to take care of that. Immigration was also a big problem, and he was very aggressive about fixing their immigration problems. So those two major issues mean a lot to Americans: economy and immigration. And he posed himself as the saint who is going to take care of all the problems, the best candidate to fix the problem. And I think he got the approval from the people because of that. Is he going to fix the problem? No, he cannot fix the problem on his own. He needs Congress to help him to fix the problem. Are the prices going to come down? No, they are going up because he speaks about tariff. He says he's going to punish China and Canada. I mean, can you imagine the man is turning on his allies to say he's going to tariff them as a means of fixing the price? No, tariff, increase price. Tariff don't bring price down. Because what tariff does, it prevents China's goods from coming in, or it can come in, but at a higher price. So the people who's going to buy the goods will either buy the Chinese good or buy the American goods. The American goods are higher than the Chinese goods. There is no way America or any nation on earth can compete with China, with their population and their ability to produce goods at a lower price. So tariffing China is not tariffing China, it's tariffing America. So the cost of stuff will not go down because he's using tariff as a diplomatic means to get his way. Tariff in Canada is not going to work. So tariff is not going to be the answer. And tariff seemed to have worked for him at the election, but it's going to prove as a failure. So he's going to become very unpopular very quickly. But after the question you asked was, what did he use to get the people's support? And it is that I'm going to punish China. I'm going to tariff them. I'm going to take care of the immigration problem once and for all. I'm going to stop the war. I'm going to fix the problems within my first day. And so far, he's been a week in office already, and he has done nothing really meaningful to fix America's problem, other than releasing the January 6 convicts, who now people are saying, well, why would you just free everybody just like that? People who have committed serious crime against police and stuff like that. So he had not done as much as he would have liked to have done. And again, as I said, if he continues on that wavelength, he's going to deceive the people who voted for him, believing that he would fix America's problem. Money, immigration, the idea of tariff, and stuff like that. So that's what he used Lofty to get into office.
Yeah. And just a follow-up now, your answer. Do you think, Alex, that what do you think now of the American people now who bought into that narrative and quote unquote gave him that landslide victory, for want of a better term. What do you think of the people, the majority who bought into that message?
The MAGA base will remain resolute. 28-30% of the people who support him are MAGAites, and they're not going to do much. But there's a critical 15-18% of people who are going to say, but where is the promise that you made? And that is enough to cause some problems for him. Not every American will turn on him, but enough of people will turn on him. His popularity as president will drop to lower than Biden's popularity within the first year, I think, if he continues on that trajectory. And Biden was in the low 30s. I think he can possibly slide in popularity if he continues with this. Because if 20% of people start thinking of him differently, he has a lot of problem. Because he's not even 50% popular with the American people. So take 20 from that, you're going to have a lot of problems. So the American people, not everyone, but a good percentage of them will eventually say, you know, that's not what I signed up for. And he will become, or he's likely to become, a very unpopular president. That's what I think is going to happen. But will everybody turn on him? No. There are going to be people who are going to sing his praises. And I see some Dominicans as well who support him, who will probably never stop supporting him because he presents that sort of image of himself that people are just attracted to. People like a strong person image, a strong man image, a person who defiles the odds, a person who goes against the status quo, who goes against the grid. And that's him. So 28, 25, 28, 30%, thereabout of people like that. But that is not the majority of Americans. Right now, I think most of the Americans are in abeyance. Some of them are shocked. Some of them are still hoping that the deliverables will come. And I hope for America's sake and for the world's sake that they come. I mean, I'm supporting the president to be successful, because if America has a successful presidency, the entire world will be okay. So I'm praying and hoping that he's very successful. But I'm not too sure that I'm not too sure that he understands the role of the president in the way that it should be presented at this time. And if he doesn't curb his aggression, I think he will have some issues in the presidency.
From a man, Alex, who basically I am saying now was, in the doorway of being locked up for, many different charges / convictions, and emerging the president of America. What would you have to say about that?
Okay, so the Constitution does not make any provisions for a criminal not to be president.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he can be president. He could have been president and in prison and run the country from prison if he had to. I think moving forward, there's going to be some changes in the legislature that talks about convicts and ex-convicts, because he's an ex-convict. He's a convict. But the presidency cannot be touched. So because he is in the office of the presidency, he is insulated. He cannot be touched until after the presidency. And he will be touched after the presidency because there are some state matters against him. But yeah, because of how American system is, you cannot, as a felon, vote in Florida, and he's a Florida resident, but he can be president of America as a felon. That's a little loophole in the creation of the government, because the framers never envisaged that somebody like him would emerge.
Yep.
And to do this, they always felt somebody more honorable. I mean, I'm not saying that he's dishonorable, but I mean, come on, he's charged with insurrection, on the government that he was leading. How can you hurt your own government? So the framers, in their wildest dream, in fact, they said in the 14th Amendment that insurrectionists should not be president. He was not convicted of insurrection, so he could be. But had he been convicted, if the Justice Department had gone after him earlier, which I thought they should have done, because McConnell said they should, but they waited too late to go after him, and it looked as if it was a something hunt, a witch hunt. So he got sympathy from the people because they say, witch hunt, witch hunt, witch hunt. But if they had gone after him earlier, they might have gotten some convictions and he would have never been a candidate. But because they had no conviction for the federal charges, I mean, the document cases at Mar-a-Lago, that was a slam dunk case. But they went after it too late. So because of that, he's now insulated for 4 years by the presidency. And who knows? In 4 years' time, he might be too old and there might be some leniency. He might pardon himself and he may not answer the charges because he can pardon himself. As president, a president can pardon people, and he is somebody because he is not the presidency, Lofty. He is the president. The presidency is bigger than him. So he can use the seal of the presidency and create a new standard and pardon number 47. I believe he can. He can create a precedence. And if he does that, he's home and dry in terms of after his presidency for the federal charges. But there are still some state charges in terms of the election interference that can be heard against him. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
And if he is facing cases or charges, maybe the next president, it could be a Democrat as well, could pardon him too. Because one thing the system does not like is a stain on the presidency. Bill Clinton was impeached and he was pardoned. Well, he was not convicted of the impeachment. Richard Nixon he wasn't impeached, he resigned and he got pardoned. Because somehow the system does not want that stain on the office of the presidency, and somebody is going to pardon him, I think, in the future for all the crimes that he was charged for committing, and some of them not convicted of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alvin, any follow-up before we go to some of the situations with Dominica, the region?
Yeah, certainly. One other area which I think you might want to speak to, Alex, has to do with monies in elections.
Wow.
I know that in itself will take another whole topic by itself, and maybe we may have to bring you back for us to deal with that. But we saw the kind of monies that was raised on both sides. On the Democrat side, Kamala raised quite a bit of money. And then we saw on the Republican side, this billionaire guy having an influence on the elections. And this is something that is of concern in the region as well. Yeah. Campaign financing. Do you think that had an influence on the results? Because you're hearing all sorts of things now, and it looked like there's a president outside of the president. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
What's your take on that?
Okay, so here's my deal. The way government works, my definition of government is that government was created by people with interest, for people with interest. That's government. So government is always controlled by interests and major groups. And there are some places where the oligarchs have greater power than other places, but there's always a group of people that control the operation of government, including in Dominica. So it is not surprising that following the Citizens United against the FCC case in 2010, where the Supreme Court said that the people's ability to spend money on elections is their First Amendment right, and no one can prevent companies from doing so. That opened up the floodgates for people like Elon Musk to be able to spend $250 million to not purchase, but to influence the election results and to install a president that he would like. Now, I'm very particular when I speak about these things because you cannot just callously say that demand by the American government. No. I have to be responsible to my profession to explain that he was able to influence the results by spending so much money. And as such, he has he's the shadow president of America, some say. Because you cannot, after a man do that for you to assist you to win, discard the guy. Now, the MAGA base is turning on Elon. I don't think number 47 is going to turn on him anytime. Because turning on him is turning on himself. The man invested too much in you. He's going to find a way to protect this man. So the Citizens United case versus the FCC of 2010 that resulted in the Supreme Court saying, fair game, money on election is open, that really opened up the floodgates, and it created bigger problems in the American and global systems. Because what has been set as precedents in America take precedence in other jurisdiction. And in Dominica, we have the problem with monies in elections, too much money being spent on elections in Little Dominica. And in America, we see an unprecedented amount of money being spent to the point where people are saying that Elon purchased the presidency. No, I will not say that because I mean, my profession doesn't allow me to really break it down in those nitty-gritty. But certainly, he is one of the most influential person, if not the most influential person next to the President of America. And he is now going for other global governments too, with his money to purchase access to the government in those places. So, Alvin, that is a very, very, very interesting, to say the least, scenario when it comes to people's ability to influence the outcomes of elections. And that is not going to stop anytime soon until the courts relook the FCC matter and say, well, you know, guys, probably there should be some ceiling, there should be some checks. But for now, it's the highest bidder come. And I think the people with money like Elon are going to continue to influence election results in America, in Dominica, in Barbados, and other places, where maybe by the end of the next decade or two, those Elons of the world would be controlling governments around the world. Can you imagine that? The rich individuals controlling a network of governments in important governments? And that's a problem. That is a serious, serious problem.
No, you're absolutely right, Alex. And like I said, it is something we have to dig deeper into and explore and look at the implications. Because at the end of the day now, how does that interface with that noble word we call democracy? Is there a true democracy? How does that interface? And that in itself is a topic that would worth looking at, but it's not something that you can just ignore. Like you say, something that has to be dig deeper into and analyze and figure out.
Well, democracy is in trouble, eh? Global democracy is in problems.
Yeah.
You know, as is now, you know, populism and other extremist movements have pretty much sidelined democracy. I mean, yeah, we have it in name, but democracy is not an exercise that is very healthy as it had been in the past. And we need to do certain things about it. The democracies don't remain healthy until we make them healthy. And the vote is one of the things that is very significant in any democracy. If there's no fairness in the vote and too much undue influence by interest, the democracy is suffering. And I think Dominica's democracy, America's democracy, and other countries that I can speak about, democracies are not as healthy as they once were. And
on the edge, yeah.
It depends on the citizens to do. But that's another topic we can talk about.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly.
In detail.
Lofty, you want to jump in now?
Yeah. It's 12 minutes to the all-way clock, Alvin. So we're gonna take some comments from the live feed soon after. But Alex, let us get to the aspect now in terms of some of the implications of 47, you call him, number 47, Donald Trump being the president of America. Let us look at the wider region and then zero it on Dominica's situation. How do you see he ascending to the presidency? How are we?
Yes,
going to be impacted in some way, shape, or form?
Okay, so we cannot just think of the Caribbean as we know it, the English part of the Caribbean. We are just too minute a group.
Yeah.
You know, to focus. So we are talking about the Americas, with Latin America included. Starting from Haiti, you know, Jamaica. And he, number 45, is going to cause shockwaves in Jamaica because the Jamaicans have gotten into a very, very comfortable arrangement with China through the highway, North-South Highway, the Kingston Port, and the investment that China has made into the aluminum, the bauxite in Jamaica. I mean, lots of billions of those, 300 billion, I think. America has not gotten close to making that kind of investment. And the gateway that Jamaica provides in terms of its port, the logistics, close in the proximity to the Panama Canal, that again, number 47 is going after as well. So through the logistics and the access to the port, and the Chinese are very smart. They invested great monies in the port and are essentially influencing the operations and have kind of muscled America out of that sort of comfort zone. So number 45 is not very happy with what the Chinese have done in Jamaica, and he will put a lot of pressure on Jamaica's administration. So Jamaica is in a strategic position now to lobby and to work with both. My advice to Jamaica is that they work with America as well. Do not just put all your eggs in one Chinese basket. Also work with Canada, work with England, other countries to appease America somewhat. Because if Jamaica does not find a way to appease America in the Americas where they are right now, they will feel a little pinch from number 47. There'll be sanctions, there will be advisories, and etc., etc. All it takes is an advisory from America for Jamaica to feel some pressure. I hope it does not get to that point. The Jamaican government has to respond to what America is saying. You cannot just ignore America. Because come on, America is one hop away from you, and America can pretty much render you not inactive, but create some problems for your economic viability. Because most of Jamaica's export or import comes from America. Sorry, import comes from America, 60% or so thereof. It doesn't come from China. So although China has the diplomacy working, but the goods that Jamaica needs to consume comes from America. And an advisory can cause a problem for Jamaica. Guyana. So let's go to the south. With the oil situation and the challenge that we have with Venezuela to an extent. The major companies involved in Guyana in terms of the excavation of the millions of barrels of oil are American companies. And the deals that Guyana for $18 million have cut with the American companies, this is not the best deal. So that is another area where the Americans have a stranglehold from the Caribbean and the Americas in the south, in Guyana, to Jamaica in the north. So we are kind of a sandwich between those two strategic global Caribbean countries, and us in the middle will be affected by anything that America does in the north and in the south, because we just do not have the power, the strength, the independence to withstand it. Jamaica doesn't have it, Guyana does not have it, and the pressure will be brought on them so hard that something will give, something has to give. My advice to both countries is to work with the Americans. You cannot ignore the Americans and say, well, it's China I have, it's a one China, China alone. You cannot have only one major country investing in your country. That's going to be a problem. America is not going to be happy. And if any president is going to take action, number 47 will. And we do not really want to tease him to take action, because if he does, not only will Jamaica feel it, but the entire archipelago, Caribbean archipelago, especially those of us in the English-speaking Caribbean, will feel the squeeze that America can put and probably might put on Jamaica. And maybe
talking about squeeze, Alex, do you foresee anything re Venezuela and number 47? In that 4-year stint?
Oh yeah, I think he's likely to invade Venezuela. I don't want it to happen, but I think he's likely to invade Venezuela and replace the president with the person that he now recognizes as the legitimate leader of Venezuela. Ill-advised, he should not do it. But based on what I'm hearing, I think it is likely, it is very possible that we might have an invasion, an American invasion. I will not put it past him. So that, I think, is the worst case scenario. The better thing is to call Maduro in and say, look, let's plan a way for you out and give him some grace to leave, to move. I don't think number 45 works that way. Sorry, number 47 works that way. So that, I think, is the worst case scenario, where he goes in there, apart from the embargo and everything else, and at least have a military intervention to fix the problem that he wants to fix in Venezuela. That's how I think he might go. Again,
I think one of the things to Lofty that, and I'm sure Alex will agree to that, is that the Republican parties, by and large, are more parties that foreign outlook as against the Democrats. Democrats are more domestic. So if you go back in history and look at where Americans had their footprint around the globe, you will invariably find it was during a Republican administration. I mean, take Reagan, for example, when they did I'm not even sure how to call it, but say the invasion of Grenada
Yeah.
It's Republican.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you go back in Chile and all these other countries, and I think what is more, just to support what Alex is saying, the guy who is now the Secretary of State, Mark Rubio. What's his name, Alex?
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio.
Mm.
This is a guy, he is
Cuban.
Cuban American.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one guy, based on where he served in prior to he taking over that position, doesn't like Venezuela situation, doesn't like Cuba, doesn't like China. This is China. This is a guy who, if you go based on his past, his positions, his enunciations, and now he's Secretary of State. That's what he is, you know.
Yeah.
Very critical position. I think what Alex is saying is so true, that America is going to have its eyes out there. The only sad thing about it, I will say, you know, here you have a man who is a felon, and like they say in Creole, kind of we can't show there, but I know it. But the America being what America is, then that is what you're going to expect. And as he rightly said, those small islands like Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent, all of that. The only one I think that might, they will always get a squeeze, but the only island which may, you know, is St. Vincent. St. Vincent not in bed with the Chinese. However, when the rest sneeze,
it's contagious.
Catch the cold.
It's contagious, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your take on the Secretary of State, man?
Well, Marco Rubio, as you said, is a very interesting guy who has very low tolerance for the country.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that he's one of the guys who are going to say, let's do this. And you're right about the Conservative Party too. They are military, pro-military, pro-intervention party. So it would not be surprising if there are a couple of interventions. Again, we can talk about what's going to happen in Ukraine, what I think is going to happen, what is going to happen in the Middle East as well in terms of Palestine. We can talk about this as well. And it really ties into the modus operandi of the Conservative Party. So yes, there might be some interventions. Maybe not right out invasion, but certain interventions, military interventions, to fix some problems around the world. And I think Venezuela might be one of those cases where an intervention might help to fix the problem of governance. And Maduro would be well served to start speaking. People who are saying, oh, I'm not talking to the American, I'm a sovereign country, and beating your chest. No, the America is powerful enough to change systems.
Make a break.
Yeah.
And
Alex,
and we know Lofty, our relationship with Venezuela, that is Dominica relationship, how closely tied we are to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another conversation, Alex. It's 2 minutes to the hour, 8 o'clock, and so we have to. Man. Yes, I know. We have to call you back, Alex, for you to sort of continue on where you left off. But unfortunately, we know how time flies when this kind of information is.
We're going already.
Yes, an hour.
You know, man, it runs by so quickly.
So, in a nutshell, Alex, just sort of punch some home run points for us as you bring the conversation to a wrap for this segment tonight.
Well, brother, with 2 minutes to go, there's very little I can do, but just to really thank you immensely, Lofty and Alvin, for allowing me a platform to speak, because I am an authority on American government and politics. That's what I do professionally in the classroom. And I'll be very happy to share. I think there's a lot we can do. The local media, I am not too sure that they are as willing to open up to ideas and views like you are. So thanks for the opportunity to speak. And I'm looking forward to continue the engagement, not just on American politics, but politics in general. Sure. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And you make me feel at home, similar to how I feel when I am invited to appear on regional media, because I do a lot of regional international media. Probably not just Dominica. I do not know why. For some reason or the other, there are other experts who get the call. But Lofty, I appreciate it that you called me, and I'm hoping that at least I gave some value to your program. and you and Alvin will feel the need to call me back so we can talk about the real nitty-gritty in terms of what I think can possibly happen to us in the Caribbean. We for number 45 presidency. I support his presidency, but as someone who understands the theories and the concepts of the American government, I think he presents a great challenge for the government that if he is not very careful, he could become a victim to his own presidency. That's how I would like to end. I'm looking forward to the invitation to continue the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much.
All of them on the same road to destruction. This time the Barbadians, them understand.
All right, Dominicans.
Jamaicans.
That is where we must bring down the curtains on things here for tonight's conversation. Brother Alvin Thomas, your final take. We are on the hour, so we have to be very, very brief.
Yeah, absolutely, Lofty. Thank you. Well, let me just thank Alex again for coming forward and having that exchange with us, that conversation. I think it's a very good conversation to have. He's right. I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. I see some of our folks on the live is asking for part 2. I personally think we need to have a part 2. We need to dig deeper into the implications for the region. I think that is important. We merely touched the surface here in the last part of the program, but I think we need to dig deeper and see what are the implications. Don't forget, one of the things is that there's a large Caribbean diaspora in America. And whatever happens in the region is going to have some impact of those of us in the diaspora, from Jamaica, Barbados, Antigua. So I think we need to dig deeper into that conversation and see what are the implications, and not just see the implications, but what solutions that can be presented to some of the challenges and issues that we will be facing during the term of this president's 47th president.
Thank you. Thank you indeed.
Everyone trying to protect his dollar.
Okay, so folks, that is it for us here tonight.
Since Guyana and have no foreign.
We leave you this one from Chalk Dust, Sea, Water, and Sand. That is all we have.
Well, countries who are more wealthy, man, they laughing out, kiki.
Just before we go though,
Not Guyanese. And
about 2 hours ago, I'm reading from breaking news from Variety News
unless they
that suggests here, unconfirmed reports suggest that a small plane may have gone down off the coast of La Plaine, that is on the southeast of the country. A search is currently being conducted. More details as they become available.
Jamaicans.
Again, unconfirmed reports suggest that a small plane may have gone down off the coast of La Plaine, that is in the southeast of Dominica. A search, it is said, is currently being conducted. More details as they become available. And I'm quoting the Variety News group here.
St. John. Yes, that
See you guys next week, Sunday, same time, same place,
that
for another conversation of national interest. So from the Civic Vibes team, whatever is left of your evening, do enjoy.
all of them Caribbean leaders, instead of pulling together, they prefer to friend with Reagan and Thatcher. Dominican suffering bad, their goods can't get to Trinidad, cause Chambers ain't giving license, it is sad. Chambers saying it's big racket, they want to flood Trinidad market with all their cheap inferior goods and won't. But what do we register as the national carrier? No way, sir. Antigua turned down his offer. This time Chambers and Fairburn understand. You both need each other in the region. You can make treaties with France and Japan. And with your own people you can join hands.